Yeah. So you're walking into that conversation about the impact of low cost AI coaching on entry level coaching positions or even experienced coaching positions, right? Because that's where you're going toward. So continue to describe, that impact, because $300 a year, and they could have 24/7, and they could only have you for 1 hour. Let's talk about that impact. So keep going.
Well, the impact is real.
Yeah.
Because when we think about it, if somebody in the EVP of HR calls you because they know that you're a coach that has credibility and results,
yeah,
from the coaching that you've done, they call you in. Typically, you're working with somebody that's a director, a VP, an EVP, somebody in the C-suite, and in a company that's got 1,000 people.
Yeah,
that means that there's 985 people that don't get coaching from you.
That's true. Yeah.
And in the crazy world that we live in today, where there's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity everywhere, every day, not just at work, people are bringing what happens in the real world to their work world, and they're stressed out when they show up and have their first cup of coffee. If we can democratize coaching and make it accessible to everyone in the workplace, then everybody in the workplace, theoretically, will be more resilient and be able to navigate the volatility and uncertainty that's at work and at home. And they'll be more productive as a product of that. And my thesis is that if employee engagement has been at 50% or lower from the moment we started measuring it, 40 years ago, it hasn't moved beyond 50%. The way to get movement, to get employees more engaged, to help them be more resilient, to help them be more productive when they're at work, it is to democratize coaching. And that we've done, and we've been doing with team coaching.
Yeah.
But we don't team coach at scale the way the deployment of a $300 a year digital coach that I can take home with me. I can take on the commute in the train when I commute from Manhattan to Connecticut.
Yep.
I can listen to my coach and have a chat in the car on the way home in the LA commute traffic.
I'm laughing about that is you and I both lived in California, so I was just thinking about road rage, and here you are. Now you can pop up your AI agent and have them coach you out of that trauma. Road rage. Yeah.
That's another application for coaching, I guess, road rage in Los Angeles, because the LA traffic is legendary and it's not getting. When I lived in California a decade or more ago, I was 35 miles from LAX, and if I didn't leave my house before about 5:30, I couldn't make it to LAX on time.
Yeah,
because people from the Inland Empire that were 40 or 50 miles inland of me were showing up. They had left their house at 4:00, showing up at my door an hour later so they can get to the west side of LA. So I pick up traffic in Palm Springs now when I drive into Los Angeles, which is insane.
So, my friend John Jorgensen, he's another cat from LA, from California, not LA, but California.
Yeah.
Another coach. He just put up a comment, only a human being can respect another human being. Nurturing someone and inspiring their growth is distinct from providing them information per se. And AI, and then so we're talking about interpreting, making meaning of the relationship of people may require authentic consciousness, or does it? So John is like, if you and John got into a conversation, I'll just come and just sit down and listen. So what do you have to say about what John just shared?
Remember, the more I lean into AI tech, the more heart-centered as a coach I become.
Yeah.
But the more I get engaged with AI tech, I'm building right now. I'm building a coach agent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building two of them actually, and I'm building the role that it's going to have, the technique, the coaching principle that it's going to use.
Yeah.
Is it going to be integral coaching? Is it just going to use the simple grow process?
Yeah.
What personality is it going to have? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be, or is it going to have different personalities depending on what the client response is? What knowledge is it going to be? Is it going to be in a vertical? Is it going to be designed to work with people in STEM, or is it going to be designed to work with people in healthcare?
Okay.
I can do all of that from my desktop, working in the back end of the coach that's going to represent me.
Yes.
Live on my website, so people that don't get access to me can get access to it. I can scale, because how many of those, I can make as many as I want.
Yeah.
And deploy them. And remember that on the a friend of mine that lives in the UK has a name that I just love. His name is Jazz. J-A-Z-Z.
Yeah.
Rasul.
Yeah.
And
Jazz Rasul. Yes.
He reminds me of Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's an astrophysicist and a scientist, but he's a brilliant coach. And he built a graphic, and I would show that graphic to John, because the graphic shows where AI coaching has the capacity to do transactional and transitional coaching. Full stop.
Yeah.
It is as good as we are in transactional and transitional coaching. That is a little alarming, because if that's what you do, you're competing with that. What John, I think, was referencing is that, I'm having a conversation with somebody that's really trying to grapple with something that's serious, and it's a transformation that they seek. Transformative coaching is the domain of human coaches.
I agree.
But if the workplace is now immersed in AI, and the leadership in those companies is training you to use and engage with AI, and giving you agents that work for you as part of the team that you manage in AI, there's the notion that I told somebody this morning, in 1989, I got my first cell phone.
Yep.
It was the size of a cinder block. And It was powered by the cigarette lighter in my car. And when I took it out of my car, it wasn't much good, because it wasn't plugged into that power source.
Unless you had an adapter to take it into your home or your office, which was just another pain in the butt, right?
Yeah. It was cumbersome. It was, you were the new kid on the block with a cool toy, but I loved it, but I'm glad that rapidly we moved toward the mobile devices that we have that were really mobile. But now the story I told this morning is that my mobile phone, I don't think of it even as a phone. It's just an appendage.
Yeah.
It's turned into something in the same way that the people that saw the first motor cars driving down the road when the horses were still tied up at the hitching post in front of the hardware store, they said, "That noisy, smoky thing, get it out of here." Until we didn't say that anymore. And now look at where we are with cars that are electrified. So the technology that we rail against today, and we want to hold space for ourselves, are really going to end up being the norm. And it's for no other reason than corporations that build the technology are making technology to be our co-workers. I'm building an AI avatar that will represent my mode of coaching, and my narrative approach to coaching is going to be baked into an AI.
That's for sure. Hey, so we have Betsy Dukakis. So she wants to extend John's comment, and she's saying, like, if you want to be a heart-centered coach, how can AI play into you becoming one?
Well, that's perfect. So there's a platform called Ovida, O-V-I-D-A.
I saw that.
Ovida was at SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, last year. And because, let me back up and say, Ovida was built as a coach training platform, meaning that in the same way that we use Zoom, where you have one person in Los Angeles, another person in New York having a Zoom call, the coachee can be in New York and the coach can be in Los Angeles. And it takes the transcript, it analyzes the transcript and tells you how many open-ended questions, how many closed-ended questions, how many times the coach jumped in when the coachee was trying to say something. All of the nuance that come from a coaching session, it was trained to listen for the competencies that we coaches have. So an AI tool like Ovida that won an award at SHRM, because now in corporate world, the leaders that are wanting to be more coach-like are being trained on the conversations that they have using Ovida. So to answer Betsy's question, I would use AI all the time. In the same way that a baseball player now is in spring training, but they don't stop training throughout the 182 games they play a year.
Yeah.
They're always training. I've done Tai Chi for decades, and my Sifu from San Francisco said, practice every day, miss one day, lose 2 days. So if I want to be a heart-centered coach, I use that philosophy. And because I can't call Dr. Dave every day and say, hey, Dave, can we do some mutual coaching?
Yeah.
I want to practice. Now I can use AI, and AI will tell me, hey, Arthur, you did good, but you have some areas to improve in. Let's talk about it. And I'm talking about it, and AI is giving me feedback on my heart-centered coaching methodology.